I finally had some time this week to stop by a local antique and flea market mall. I drive past this place often, but this is my first time staying inside. It's a large warehouse with at least 200 stalls that people rent out to set up items for sale, like miniature garage sales. I walked in with a mental list of specific things that I wanted to look for, but the shocking number of items in this store made it nearly impossible to focus. Look at this cute little sewing box. It was out of my budget but inspired me to add it to my project list. Maybe someday I'll be able to make a larger version of this. One stall was selling all types of quilting supplies. I love the prints on this cotton fabric. It was sold in fat quarter-size pieces at $1.50 each. Same price as my local fabric store. I get a couple for a project that I have in mind this week. There were so many things in this building, and I definitely think that I'll have to come back another day to explore more. I ended up leaving with 2 pieces of fabric, a combination square, and a dinosaur toy to appease my young shopping companion. The project that I had in mind for the fabric that I got from the antique mall was to make some beeswax fabric, which can be used as a more decorative and reusable alternative to plastic wrap. I've been reading online about how to make this by melting beeswax, an oil, and pine resin. The beeswax by itself on the fabric should waterproof the fabric and create a seal, but by itself it'll crack after the fabric is folded. So an oil like jojoba oil is added to prevent the cracking, but the oil will get rid of the stickiness of the beeswax, so it's recommended to add some pine resin as well. Thankfully, there are several pine trees in our yard. One had a couple old injuries that were covered in what I believe to be pine resin, and I collected some for the project. The whole time that I was collecting pine resin, this tiny frog was sitting next to me. I add all the ingredients to an old damaged slow cooker that I'm no longer using for cooking. For this experimental small batch, I'm using 2 tablespoons of beeswax, nearly a tablespoon of resin, and a little less than 2 teaspoons of jojoba oil. The wax is brushed onto the back side of the fabric, and it quickly hardens. The fabric is then placed into an oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for just a couple minutes until it reliquefies and can be spread more evenly on the fabric. The next morning, I was awake earlier than usual and decided to prep a fruit salad for dinner tonight. I want to serve it in this bowl, so I'll be testing out the beeswax fabric today. The fabric turned out okay, but I think that it could be a little more sticky. Next time I'll add more pine resin. Here's an update on the terrarium that was assembled in the last vlog. It's been officially planted for about a week now, and the rabbitfoot fern is dramatically livened up. Today I'm doing a little bit of surgery to remove some dead pieces that had a little bit of white fuzz on them. Sadly, the clover may not have liked being transplanted while in bloom, and it might have died. A couple seedlings have just sprouted up next to it, and I'm hoping that that's either more clover or at least a terrarium loving plant. My big home improvement project for this week was to repaint our playroom. The walls have been damaged a little over the years, and I'm looking forward to getting rid of this light gray color. A few days ago, I stumbled across a very relevant article in an old home improvement magazine. It's all about techniques for using an angled brush to paint a long wall trim. In the past, when I've painted walls, I've always lined the trim and the baseboard with tons of painter's tape, and this was my least favorite part of painting. I'm inspired to try these instructions out, and hopefully it will save me tons of time. The article does still recommend to apply painter's tape to the top of doors and windows. I did end up making numerous mistakes when painting around the trim, and I'm going to need more practice. But a wet paper towel ended up saving most of my mistakes. Several weeks ago, I started some pressed flowers with the intention of turning them into some kind of wall art, and today is the day that I'm going to look to see how the flowers turned out. I left them to dry for probably a week or two longer than necessary, mainly because I live in a super humid climate and wanted to make sure that everything had time to dry completely. I want to lay out these plant samples into a herbarium style picture. I created little labels for each plant using the drawing function in Google Docs. I hope that I identified each one correctly. This week I planted another area of the new brick-lined bed in front of the climbing rose. First I'm planting a white pineberry strawberry. This might not be the ideal time to plant a strawberry, but I'm excited to add it to the garden. I was given a gift card to an online plant shop last week and wanted to get this to hopefully be a mother plant for a future strawberry patch. It will produce white strawberries that are apparently harder for birds and insects to notice. In front of the climbing rose, I'm transplanting a cut and come again zinnia and some basil. I want to fill this space with whatever extra plants I have to help outcompete the weeds this season. Next to the strawberry, I am planting a little bit of chamomile, since I've heard this could be a good companion plant. Some kind of insect is starting to chew on the sweet bell pepper plants, but overall I'm happy with how things are growing.